Today, I'm exposing the fragrance mistakes that 95% of men make, including the sneaky ones. So, let's start with mistake one. And mistake one, spraying too close. You see, I've seen guys put the nozzle like an inch away. And when you spray that close, you don't get a mist, you get a splash. And here's the problem with that. Wet spots, they don't project, they don't diffuse, and they don't bloom. They just sit there like a sad little puddle of perfume oil waiting to stain your shirt. You see, this is an atomizer, and fragrance is engineered to atomize, meaning it needs space to break down into these fine little particles. So your task is to spray 3 to 6 inches away and let the atomizer do its job. And if you did that, the mistake number 2 wouldn't even be a thing. Mistake number 2 is rubbing in your fragrance, and it's one of the biggest crimes in the fragrance world.
Lock 'em up.
Now, I don't know who taught men to do this, but whoever did, they owe us an apology. You see, when you rub your fragrance in, you do 3 things. First, you create friction and heat that make you go through those top notes a little bit quicker. Second, you skip the entire opening that the perfumer actually had designed. And then third, you skip to the mid notes, which is like pressing fast forward too many times on Netflix. When you rub, those fragrance oils sink deep into the skin, and for you, that means less projection. And no, it doesn't mean that your fragrance is weak, you killed it. But to do this, you really gotta be aggressive. A simple pat down won't be the worst thing, but it also won't be the best thing. So do the best thing, and that's nothing. Mistake number 3 is sticking to one fragrance brand. It's simple, but I see a lot of guys do it. Look, I get it. Brand loyalty feels safe. You know the DNA, you know the performance, and you kind of know exactly what to expect. But here's the truth that nobody mentioned. Every brand has strengths and every brand has blind spots. Here's a few examples. Dior has elite freshies, but when it comes to sweet fragrances, mid-tier. Chanel is clean and classy, but sometimes a little too safe. Tom Ford, well, he's the master of seduction and does sexy fragrances incredibly well, but sometimes they feel underwhelming and overpriced. And then Prada is the clean kings, but they don't really have any heavy hitters. So when you stick to just one brand, you begin to miss out on entire fragrance experiences. Which brings us to mistake number 4, which is buying a bunch of cheap fragrances for the quantity. Look, it's just the 2 of us, so tell the truth. You're just trying to make it look bigger. Now, don't get this twisted. There's nothing wrong with having affordable fragrances. But if you're buying 10 cheap bottles just to say you have them versus buying one good bottle, are you really fragrance collecting, or are you just collecting clutter? Unless you're a fragrance reviewer or building a fragrance library, you really don't need a ton of fragrances. You more so need quality. And if you really needed quantity, you can grow it over time. And no, I'm not saying you gotta spend a ton of money here. You can have a quality fragrance collection with 30 Lattafas, 30 Roja, Creed fragrances, and Louis Vuitton. At this point, when you do this, I really just want you to focus on building a fragrance identity. Invest in 2 to 3 high quality bottles, but make sure they represent you and begin to slowly fill in the gaps. Mistake number 5 is also a crazy one, but it's buying niche just because it's niche. Some people treat niche fragrances like it's a personality trait. They hear the word and they instantly think elite, superior, and rare. But let me break something to you gently. Niche doesn't mean better quality, better performance, better compliments, better value, or better personality fit. It just means niche, or that the brand specializes in the specific field. It's like saying Popeyes has the best food because they specialize in food and not candles. By the way, speaking of candles, behind the scenes, I've been working on a special project about myself to bring some of the world's sexiest candles to life. And if you'd like to hear about it, then click the first link down below and be one of the first people to hear about what I have in store. But anyways, back to the list. Here's the rare truth. A lot of niche fragrances aren't necessarily mass appealing. And of course, you have the mainstream brands that catch the attention, but that's the exception to the rule. Chances are, when it comes to niche fragrances, yeah, you might love it, but that doesn't necessarily make it better than Dior Homme or YSL myself. My advice, don't buy niche to flex, buy niche to express. And speaking of expressing, mistake number 6 just might be the most important one for your identity. And mistake number 6 is about chasing hype instead of personality fit. Here's the truth. A fragrance just happens to be a personality multiplier. It should amplify who you are and not what TikTok wants you to be. Example, if you're a calm, cool guy out there who moves with intention, a loud, beast mode clubbing fragrance might not be the one for you. If you're confident, outgoing, or charismatic, wearing an ultra soft skin scent might also not be your jam. Despite what I say or anyone else on the internet says, when it comes down to fragrance, it should really do a few things. Match your mood, match your style, your energy, your lifestyle, your environment. And also, I believe it should match your intention. What smells great on me or your friend might not necessarily translate into being the best fragrance for you. Now let me tell you, once you find a fragrance that matches your personality and your energy, people will begin to approach you differently, and I think you begin to carry yourself differently as well. Now mistake number 7 is simple, but it's easy to forget. Remember, this paper strip is not your skin. With no heat, no oil, no pH, and no chemistry, the fragrance is going to behave totally different. Also, if you want to get the full range of what a fragrance really can do, test in the morning and test at night. If you test in the morning, it'll likely smell one way, and if you test at night, it might smell another. The reason being is that your skin evolves throughout the day. Did you know that alcohol or spicy food, garlic and onions can change the way fragrances show up on your skin? So yes, tequila and sweet fragrances at night could be a disaster. So here's a few rules of engagement. Test strips are really for narrowing down your selection. Your skin is your real test. Don't test more than 2 or 3 fragrances at once. And if you really want to be technical, then test the fragrance in the morning and at night. And I'm sure, as you see by now, sometimes it's not the big, glaring, obvious mistakes that impact your fragrance. It's those sneaky ones that mess you up. Now, mistake number 8 is one that I believe most people watching this video have probably done and are likely doing right now, including myself. I know it looks nice and sometimes it's probably the most convenient thing you can do, but if you keep your fragrance bottles in a bathroom, then you might as well be slow cooking them. Bathrooms are one of the absolute worst places you can keep fragrances because they trap heat, humidity, and light. 3 things that kill fragrances. But here's how. Heat tends to break down those top notes. Humidity leaks into the atomizer in the cap and begins to cause oxidation. And light can break down the molecular bond. So with all of those temperature swings that occur in the bathroom, it really destabilizes the oils. I mean, keeping it there is basically the fragrance equivalent of aging a loaf of bread. Except instead of smelling warm and fresh, it smells flat, metallic, and sometimes sour. The fix here is simple. Keep your fragrances in a closet, in a dark drawer, a refrigerator, or at the most simple way that you can do this is keep it out of direct sunlight. Basically, anywhere but your bathroom. By now, you found at least one of these mistakes that you've done over time, but this next one might have a 100% hit rate. Mistake number 9 is assuming that because you can't smell it anymore, that the fragrance has gone. If you ever spray the fragrance in the morning and by lunchtime, you're like, dang, what happened to my scent? It could just be your nose. Oftentimes when this happens, you might be suffering, I guess that's a weird word to say, you might be experiencing olfactory fatigue, or what most of us call nose blindness. Brain gets used to a scent and 10, 15, 20 minutes in, your senses literally dial that fragrance down so your brain can focus on more useful things. And chances are, people around you can still smell your fragrance just fine. And sometimes way more than you think. So spray and reapply with caution. And mistake number 10 is one that I'm ashamed I gotta say, but somebody's gotta do it. Mistake number 10 is about applying fragrance without showering. This simple mistake right here ruins more fragrances than sunlight, humidity, or heat ever could. Because when you spray your cologne on a body that's not clean, you don't smell fresh, you're just marinating in your own funk. I've smelled it happening hundreds of times. I said this years ago, and then again, and I'll say it now. Cologne on top of ass just smells smells like ass. When you haven't showered, your skin is holding on to sweat, bacteria, dirt, grime, leftover deodorant, oils, yesterday's lotion, your girl, or whatever you walk through within the day. And that mixture smells like your cologne is fighting for its life, or my lungs are fighting for their lives. Bottom line, fragrance isn't just about smelling good. It's about showing up as the best version of you. That happens to be a showered, clean you. Now that you mastered what not to do, let's begin to master what actually works. Click this next video because it's my guide to help people change the way that they look at you, or at the very least, the way they smell you.